Alright, it's finally time for the Certified Boy Lover album by Drake that released on Friday, actually Saturday at 2 a.m. Eastern, to give y'all my opinion on it. And I don't know how y'all are gonna feel about it considering Donda and there's been a huge feud between Kanye and Drake. We're gonna compare the two, and if you get mad about the comparison between Kanye and Drake, go pull your legs behind your shoulders and suck your own peen and take all of that ejaculate, okay? Because they wanted this. Kanye and Drake purposely were like beefing with each other around the rollout so that they could compete with each other and the fans could take sides of whose project was better, okay? So I'm just pointing that out there. However, I'm not gonna be the guy who's gonna be like a stan of either, because I'm not. I'm probably a stan of like Cardi and Uzi. Y'all know this. But anyway, let's get into the comparison. Certified Boy Lover versus Donda. Now, it just came out, and we're gonna do a review later on with the song-by-song breakdown, as well as like my overall feelings about Drake's project. We already did a Donda review if you wanna go check that out. But the official projections for Drake's album came out, and it was 625K first week. Again, this is just estimated. It might even lower, increase, depending on playlisting, radio, whatever. But that's almost double of what Kanye had with 325K. That was the official numbers because he released it 1 week prior. Now, there were like 2 days because it released on Sunday, so we didn't get the numbers for like Friday, Saturday. But streaming like goes down a little bit. I think it would only boost up to like 375 tops, which is still almost double Drake over Kanye, that is. But we're here to talk about quality, not numbers. I don't give a shit about the numbers, but it is just a talking point. And upon my first listen, actually, let's backtrack a little bit. It was like 3 a.m. or something. I was just checking Twitter while I was watching Adventure Time while passed out, basically. Hadn't even listened to the album yet. And I just see people trashing Certified Boy Lover. Now, they did this with Donda as well, so it just makes me wonder, like, why do people hate before they even listen to the whole project? It just put this, like, predisposition that when I actually listened to the project, I was expecting to be trash, and then because it wasn't, I was like, oh my god, this shit is crazy, because of like the huge discrepancy between people's opinions and my opinion. And by the way, I don't think it was that crazy. We're gonna get into that a little bit later though. But one thing to note is that Kanye fans spoke a little bit too soon, so that's why y'all should wait like at least 12 hours or something after you fully listen to the project. I'm not talking about like fast forwarding, skipping songs like that. Kanye fans were like, the Drake album isn't doing numbers first day like Kanye did with breaking the streaming numbers for Spotify in 2021. Well, bruh, Drake with a single on the Lil Baby song literally broke the record for most streams in 1 day ever. And then his project also had more streams total in the first day than Kanye. But again, we're not here to talk about numbers. I'm just like refuting all of the Kanye stans that we're talking trash. Like, why can't we just an objective opinion here? We don't have to suck one artist's dick so hard to the point where we have to hate on another person. We are not on Team Drake or Team Kanye. Like, we're not their friends. Like, we're not their goons. Drake doesn't pay us to go like snipe Kim K's left ass cheek so that it pops, and then Kanye has like nothing to like hit from the back, you feel me? But now let's get into my opinion on the project. Now, the one advantage I think Drake had for Certified Boy Lover for my opinions on the project is that CLB was a fully hip-hop album, other than like maybe some R&B if you want to include Drake's like singing. Whereas, obviously, Donda was a little bit more experimental, more gospel, so it kind of fits my taste of music more. However, I do think Drake's album, at least the first listen and the second listen, was kinda boring. It had some banger songs, don't get me wrong. We're gonna get into those a little bit later. But I still cannot really tell some songs from the other because it's just, it all kind of mushes into each other sounding the same. Whereas Donda, it's like all over the place. They're like exact opposites when it comes to that. Kanye was like trying to push the boundaries. Drake was kind of just trying to be him. And he did that. Now, the cover was absolutely trash. I don't know what Drake was thinking. I guess he's just trolling like everybody. I don't even know what he's doing. Putting that pregnant woman emoji cover. Like, what happened to dude with the heart shaving his head? Just stand in front of a fucking camera like I am right now and just shave something. Then there's that CLB font that, like, who made that? Wasn't that like an official thing that was on Drake's merch back in January? Like, that would have been a way better cover. And then you could play it off like you're trolling Kanye. You get like a completely black square and just put the yellow CLB font over it, and you're basically claiming that you're on top of Kanye, am I right? But as I was saying a little bit before, with Kanye being more all over the place and experimenting with things, I do think that CLB had a little bit less filler. And by that I mean Kanye had a bunch of interludes, songs that you're gonna skip, songs that after the first couple of listens of an album you don't listen to unless there's like a skit. Like if you're listening to all your liked songs on shuffle, actually you're not even gonna include it in the liked songs. And so to listen to Drake's album was a little easier than Donda, considering Donda, it almost like dragged on because it was 27 songs. It's like I wanted to listen to it, but it took 3 separate sessions to listen to the whole thing while I was, you know, working out or doing the dishes or whatever other chores. It was hard to do a full playthrough in one sitting, whereas Drake, I did all at one time. There's one question that a bunch of people are asking on Twitter and claiming too, and then also refuting it strongly, is that are either of these albums classics? And it's hard to tell. Because, especially with Kanye and Drake albums, because Kanye is always like boundary pushing, as I mentioned before, and then Drake somehow creates hidden gems that you can't hear on the first listen, we won't be able to tell if it's a classic album until like 3-4 years from now. Maybe in the short term, a few weeks after these songs have time to go on the radio, all these TikTok hoes and shit have time to make little dances to them, and then we'll find through like familiarity and other casual listeners, as opposed to like, you know, us enthusiasts, us aristocrats, we'll hear other people listening to them like party anthems and shit like that, and those will become like the best songs on the album. Just because we hear them so often that everybody knows the words to them, you can like relate to other people more easily. And with that being said, Drake will probably land more of those just because it's Drake and he has a bigger audience. I mean, that's why he sold almost double of Kanye. But just because something sells more and has a bigger brand doesn't mean that it's better, because I mean, we got McDonald's who sells more burgers than any other fast food restaurant. Yet would you say that that is the best burger? You probably want a gourmet burger, like some of these underground rappers that sell like 1 copy of their album per week. Not psych, it doesn't work like that, but you get what I'm saying. Now regarding the track list, I believe it started out like super slow on the front end and even like the back end. Once it got into like the more hardcore rapping, like the songs with 21 Savage and Future, those were like the bangers. Those were the best songs in the album. And that's what we expected, because before the project dropped, someone, I don't know who it was, but they claimed that it was more of a rap album for Drake as opposed to like an R&B mixed album, which we know Drake for. But it makes sense that he included more R&B or like softer music, considering it was called Certified Boy Lover. So it's got to get like sensual. But I don't know, just with the R&B songs in this album, I just wasn't feeling it as much as his previous albums. So I personally right now would not account it as a classic. But again, we could change our minds. Hidden gems could come out of both Donda and Certified Boy Lover. But as I was speaking about with the 21 Savage and Future songs being the best songs, I think for both albums, the highlights came from the features, even the Kid Cudi feature on Drake's album. Not that they necessarily carried the songs, but they switched up the vibe from just strictly being like a Kanye or Drake flow, classic beat, classic song, but it switched up the whole sound where it was a mix of Drake or mix of Kanye with those respective artists, so it made it way more unique. Like, those were easily the highlights of both albums. And last couple of points before we get into the song by song breakdown. I feel like in general, we can all agree that the Donda rollout was way better than Drake's album, considering Drake pretty much just rode Kanye with the beef. Dude's asshole is gaping right now from the amount of press he gained from just going back and forth with Kanye. And maybe they did that on purpose and that was the point. But Kanye was spending like millions being in the stadium, having listening parties, doing a whole bunch of extra shit. I just feel like it was way more exciting for Donda than Certified Boy Lover, especially only 1 week after Kanye. Like, we couldn't even get hyped for it. It just happened. So one thing is for certain, regardless what you think, Kendrick Lamar is salivating right now, getting ready to take his top spot for the best album of, 2021 or 2022. I think he definitely has the potential to do it. I think he is probably one of the greatest when it comes to creating concise projects with bangers, but also fitting in like a whole theme and motivation behind it. And now that both Kanye and Drake have dropped, it's Kendrick's turn. And I think he's been waiting, considering already we see on BMI and ASCAP, which are publishing companies where you submit your music first so you can start collecting your like songwriting royalties before you actually release the music. He's already submitted a bunch of songs, so we could get a Kendrick project pretty soon. But aside from all that, let's get into the actual song by song breakdown and see which songs are trash, which ones are fire, which ones are mid. So firstly, we got Champagne Poetry, which sounds exactly like you would expect for an intro from Drake with kind of like it sounds like a chipmunk sample, even though it's just like a pitched up 80s or 70s vocals from a female singer. I don't know, but he's just going in, trying to fit in as many crazy bars as he can and just get everyone ready for the album. This song was alright, wasn't anything crazy though. It was way better than I expected when people would tell me it was trash though. Now Poppy's Home is actually a really good song. It reminds me of like Views vibes. Now I don't know if any of you know this, but I feel like Scorpion was like low-key trash. It has so many songs and only like a few bangers on there, so that's why I felt like Certified Boy Lover had to be like extra to like get Drake back on top, although the singles that blew up on Scorpion were like mega hits. Hey Kiki, do you love me? And that probably made Kanye even more mad. But again, classic Drake beat with like the chipmunk or like female singer in the background being sampled. I think what differentiates this song and the good songs from the bad, in my opinion, on this album is just like the drum kicks. Like if it only had 808s in there, it kind of sounded like Take Care era of Drake, and that's just way too slow. At least for my taste, while I'm by myself, I ain't trying to be like depressed in my room. Now Girls Want Girls, it's somewhat slow, but this is like the biggest song on the album. And actually, this is the song exactly that broke the record for biggest Spotify debut ever, featuring Lil Baby. So now they're claiming that Drake and Lil Baby are like the best hip-hop duo in this generation, which may or may not be true. Lil Baby has been killing it on all of his features, even on Hurricane with Kanye's album. But either way, this had that one specific line asking the girl she's a lesbian, and Drake's like, me too. So that's gonna be like the classic line for like the next 2 years. It's a good song though, I'm not gonna lie. I will listen to this continuously, and every female that you know this is gonna be their anthem. They're gonna be taking shots, you know, getting ready, doing their hair, putting their tampons in, all while listening to this song. I'm sorry, that's just what's going to happen. Now in the Bible, I think it's actually gonna grow on me. I think both Lil Durk and Drake killed it, especially Drake, like setting up like the melody. But again, it's just a little bit slow for me right now, but I might be able to find a mood where this is something I listen to on a daily. Now, once we got to the point of Love All featuring Jay-Z, this made me realize that Certified Lover Boy is kind of trying to be like the second version of Views, as in 2 projects ago or 3 projects ago, whatever you want to consider it, by Drake. And you'll get like more hints of this later on in the album, but I just don't think that this project was as good as Views. It has like an island vibe to it, I feel like. Maybe that's it, which a lot of the songs Views were based on. But again, this song's really slow, so that's why a lot of people's opinions were like, what the hell is going on? This was supposed to be a rap album, and Drake is making us fall asleep. I think DJ Academics even fell asleep on stream, even though he was one of the biggest advocates for Drake. I think Fair Trade is all right. It's kind of the same thing as the Travis Scott feature on Donda, where obviously it has Travis Scott on it, so it's gonna be like at least to a certain level, but I just feel like it was kind of mid for who was on it. Drake and Travis Scott, you're expecting like a sicko mode, not even that big, but like at least a really good song. It doesn't even have to hit a certain amount of streams, but just like, it just wasn't as great as I know these artists are capable, especially when they work together. Way Too Sexy. This is gonna be the song that's like top to me at least. It's got more like a harder vibe, whereas the Girls Want Girls, that's probably gonna be the top song streaming wise, but Way Too Sexy is the best song for like the actual homies, you feel me? And it's because Future and Drake and Young Thug, they actually picked a really good beat that didn't sound like every other Drake beat. And what do you know? The beat sounded like it had a little bit of influence from Future on his self-titled album. And as I said a little bit before, the features were the highlights of both Donda and Certified Boy Lover, because it finally switched up the vibe. It was finally a unique song that you can tell the difference from the rest. Now TSU is another one of those songs the females are gonna love. I feel like I've heard this song prior to this album dropping, I don't know where. Maybe it was like a leak or a snippet or something. And TSU is probably the best slow song on the album, but what do you know? It's actually kind of fast. He's just singing on it. But this is actually a banger for, you know, you're driving with your girl, you're at the beach with your girls. It's just got that like strawberry dipped in chocolate vibe where you feeding each other. Play that song, automatically she in your pants. In Too Deep, the whole time I was pretty much waiting for the beat to drop, and it didn't really drop. It just had a beat switch later on when Future came in. The song is all right. The mixing is a little bit weird on Drake's voice, but they did that on purpose. It's alright, it's just not one of the best songs in the project. Pipe Down is kind of like a Poppy's Home version 2 from the beginning of the album, with the old school female vocals in the background doing the sample. Ooh. Just classic Drake. Can't explain it any further. Next we get to Yebba's Heartbreak, which is actually an interlude, so I'm not even gonna count that song because I don't even know if Drake ever raps or sings in it. It's really just Yebba singing. And finally, we get to the start of actually the rapping songs that was told the Certified Boy Lover was gonna be on No Friends in the Industry. He steps up the tempo, makes you bop your head a little bit, getting you ready for the best song on the project, Knife Talk, with 21 Savage and Project Pat. Now 21 Savage is basically his song. Again, as I told you, this correlates with exactly what I said before, and that the features carried the project, not necessarily because of their verses, because Drake did his thing, especially with the her and that like rhyme scheme that he did went crazy. But it was 21 Savage's like rhythm or vibe that like changed up and made this song unique as opposed to everything else on the album. 7 a.m. on Bridal Path is all right. Really, the only time you're gonna go to this song is to find where he was dissing Kanye, talking about his relationship. We went over that last video, so we don't really need to talk about it. It's all right, nothing crazy. Race My Mind is kind of like a extraterrestrial, like you feel like you're in the sky. Maybe you're about to go to sleep. Cloudy song, if you will. It's all right. What I'm pissed about this song is that it kind of like ended the spree of like hardcore rapping songs, which I think Drake really got into his bag, and then it stopped that momentum. Song is all right. It's kind of like a break until we get into the next features with Lil Wayne and Rick Ross that we'll talk about a little bit later, where again, the features carried the album. And then we get into like another island vibe or exotic. I don't even know where this comes from with Thames on Fountains. This is where I think he was trying to do the Views Part 2 again. And then it's kind of like the 3-step. Not necessarily my vibe, but I could see how some of the more foreign people could fuck with that. Especially the Latina bitches. And maybe you play this at the pregame so that you can get one of them. Because I know they're hard to get if you were, Caucasian male. Get along better. Yet another slow song. I thought this was a rapping album, bro. But still, I mean, none of these songs are really that bad. It's just like, it's nothing over the top for me. But again, we could find some hidden gems later on where every Drake album has. But this is just like classic Drake singing, melodizing. Is that even a word? But finally, we get to You Only Live Twice, which I guess Drake is a cat. He's a pussy. Not psych. But as I said before, Rick Ross and Lil Wayne, they brought their own vibes and it switched it up completely. Finally, we got away from like the slow songs. We get some energy in there. You only live twice. You basically go so hard the first time, you know you're gonna die because you took too many drugs, too many whatever, you got hella STDs. So the second life, that's when you chill. But Rick Ross, fire verse. Lil Wayne, fire verse. Even Drake, fire verse. And again, the features aren't really carrying in the sense that Drake didn't do his thing, but they just help bring like a different type of beat. Next we get a pretty interesting song, I Miss You Too, which has Juice WRLD but also Kid Cudi in it. It's interesting because obviously Drake has been having this little beef with Kanye, whether it's real or fake. It seems like it's pretty real at this point, even though I called it fake before. But because Kid Cudi is obviously signed to Kanye West and is good friends with him, they even had a collab tape together, Kids See Ghosts. But I guess Kid Cudi and Drake reconciled their differences and Kid Cudi is now on Drake's project. Maybe that was like a little shot at Kanye that he was not expecting. But Kid Cudi, a feature, brought a different vibe to Drake's album, making this song more memorable, bringing it to the top tier out of all of the songs because it doesn't just sound like a regular Drake beat, Drake song, whatever. Because then Drake afterwards, when we hear the Kid Cudi feature, he like kind of has the same moaning type melody that Kid Cudi always got. Great song, I love it. Then we get to another kind of double song where there's a beat switch in the middle called Fucking Fans. Something your boy got experience with, nah, I ain't call me Carson. But anyway, the beginning of the song is okay. He's kind of like singing, it's super slow, but when the beat switches, he starts rapping. That's where Drake is in his bag, as we keep talking about throughout this album. Features and when Drake is rapping. And lastly, Drake kind of goes on the Remorse with just a regular outro, similar to the intro where he's just throwing as many bars as he can, trying to speak his truth, get out all the last concepts that he has for this album. It's all right. I don't like the song that much because it's kind of just bars on bars, and I don't really care about lyrics like that unless people are dissing somebody. And after the first listen, then I don't care anymore. But there you have it, the Drake album. Y'all let me know what you thought about the album. Is it a classic? Was it better than Donda? Was it too slow? Was it perfect? What's going on? Was it worth the wait after the last 2-3 years? I think it was a good album. Was it a classic? Not too sure about that just yet, but we'll see in the next coming months if it lives up to that name. As it is, of course, Drake. Make sure to like and subscribe to join the Bob Gang. So, people, know what I'm saying?